Social media companies have one of the best business models I've seen in the market. People like you and me create the content on the social media platform, and then the companies benefit as a result. They don't have to pay us very much, especially if we're not creating the content professionally. But which one is the better social media stock to buy? Reddit, Pinterest, or Snap? I'm going to answer that question in this video by comparing these three across several financial metrics and then looking at their valuation on a forward price to earnings basis and looking at all of their discounted cash flow valuation models and looking at what the intrinsic value per share is for each of these three stocks. That's a lot to cover in a short video, so let's get right into it.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.
All right, looking at revenue growth for these three, we can clearly see that revenue is expanding at these companies. Snap taking a lead at 5.165 billion. Second place is Pinterest at 3.5 billion, and finally Reddit at 1.1 billion. However, out of the three, Reddit is growing the fastest and is growing the fastest in the most important segment, which is the North American user segment, users from the United States and Canada. The reason this segment is the most important because people in these countries have the highest per capita income, and so marketers and advertisers are willing to pay more to influence the purchasing decisions of these individuals in the United States and Canada. Reddit is demonstrating the best growth in that region from these three companies here. Now, if we look at their operating profit margins, only Pinterest is positive at 3.3%, Snap is at negative 19.54%, and Reddit is at negative 54.39%. Snap has demonstrated improvement over the years, but hasn't done enough in the last 2 or 3 years to cross the threshold and become profitable according to this metric. On cash flow from operations to sales, all three of these companies are positive, Pinterest being the best at 28% and demonstrating significant improvement. Snap demonstrating the best improvement out of these three at 6.73%, but made huge progress in the last 6 years. And then Reddit is also demonstrating excellent progress at second place with 10.21 cash flow from operations to sales. If we look at returns on invested capital, Pinterest again is the only positive because they're the only positive in operating profitability. They've also demonstrated great improvement. Reddit has demonstrated great improvement, but still significantly negative at 55%. Snap has been relatively flat in the last 2.5 years at negative 16%. So now that we looked at all the companies' financial performance metrics, including revenue, profit, and cash flow, we can begin to look at valuation, starting with the forward price to earnings ratio. According to this metric, Reddit is the most expensive with a forward PE of 48. Then you have Snap with the forward PE of 19.85, and the cheapest being Pinterest with a forward PE of 13.8. A little surprising given that Pinterest demonstrated the best profitability, the best return on invested capital, and the best cash flow from operations to sales ratio. This tells me that the market is prioritizing growth in users between the United States and Canada, and that's what's giving Reddit that premium valuation above Pinterest and Snap. Additionally, if I was to give a qualitative evaluation of the company's management teams, I would say Snap has the lowest quality management team, according to my opinion, right? Based on qualitative factors, decisions I've seen management make, processes, and things of that nature. Then you have, I would say, Pinterest, and Reddit has, I believe, the best management, the best managed company out of these three. So that's only one way to look at valuation. Another way I like to look at valuation is the intrinsic value, doing a discounted cash flow. And according to this metric, Reddit is worth $156 per share. The current market price is $167. So this metric suggests that Reddit stock is fairly valued. My intrinsic value calculation for Snap brings me to an intrinsic value per share of $24, and the current market price is $12.47. This shows that Snap is undervalued according to this metric. And finally, my DCF calculation for intrinsic value on Pinterest suggests that it's worth $70 per share. The current market price is only $30 per share. So Snap and Pinterest have intrinsic values that are roughly double or a little more than double their current market price, with Pinterest being intrinsic value being more than double the current market price. So if I'm just looking at valuation, Pinterest is clearly the most undervalued. And then if I looked at the performance metrics, including cash flow, operating margin, and returns on invested capital, Pinterest was also the best in that regard. Reddit was the best on a metric that's very important to social media companies, and that's user growth between the United States and Canada. Snap is somewhere in the middle of these two based on all of those metrics that I just talked about: the cash flow, the operating margin, the return on invested capital. User growth for Snap in that vital region has been flat. Pinterest did a little bit better than Snap, although it's negligible. The difference is like 1 million or 500,000 users when these two have user totals of around 100 million. So about a 1% difference. So negligible in that regard. Both of them trailing Reddit in terms of user growth in the United States and Canada. Pinterest also has among the lowest average revenue per user out of any of the social media companies. I see that as an opportunity. The management team recently increased its operations internationally to try and increase the average revenue per user, spend more time monetizing the user base, as they've spent previous years in expanding the user base, looking for growth. They're now looking for growth in increasing the average revenue per user now that they've scaled up significantly in terms of total monthly active users. So if I were to pick between these three and I could choose only one, I would choose Pinterest as the best of these three social media stocks to buy. That being said, I like all three of them. I have all three of them rated as a buy. It's only if I had to and I was forced to pick only one, I would pick Pinterest. But if you're not forced to pick only one of these three, I don't see any problem in adding all three to your portfolio if you're interested. Like if you're interested in all three of them and you're trying to decide which one to get, I don't know why you couldn't get all three, but if you wanted to add just the best one, the one that offers the best value for the price, I would think Pinterest is the best value for the price. Hey everyone, I'm excited to announce that my book is finally available for sale. I've been working on it for more than a year now, so I'm really excited to finally share this with you now. It goes through my framework for evaluating stocks. Some of you often ask why I like this stock or why I like the other stock, and this framework provides you the things that I look at when I'm evaluating stocks. I've added the link in the description below.